You know what prepared me for how lazy men are on dating apps? Couch surfing. I learned so much on couch surfing. Well, this is couch surfing before it became like taken over by corporate people and just this became stupid. I couch surfed all over for like 9 months in 2010. And even though I'm like a professional couch surfer, like by that I mean, I lived in my truck for years. I'm like a backpacker, right? I'm not like a hotel person or even a hostel person. I slept in a tent in the backyard of hostels. I'm like too cheap to even pay for a hostel bed. You know what I'm saying? Like I am like dirtbag, but that's how I get to do a lot of cool stuff because I don't usually have a big budget. But I just I'm almost like too cheap, y'all. But couch surfing, man, I did not realize how much men lie until couch surfing. How much they pretend to do something for some one reason and actually they want something entirely different. This is before I ever dated, so it really did prepare me for dating. I stayed with this one dude. Luckily I was with a friend when I stayed with him, but usually I was by myself. And he was like, yeah, couch surfing is great. Like, my brother met his wife on couch surfing. It's cool. You just have chicks, come from all over the world and they just, come to your house. And then they, sleep on your couch, and, they're, Basically, he loved that women show up from other countries when they're super vulnerable, oftentimes can't speak the language, don't know where they are, don't know how to get help, don't know where to, you know what I mean? Are just, so vulnerable. And then you have to talk to your host because it's rude if you don't. That's the whole point of couch surfing. It was supposed to be about community building and it ended up being about dudes trying to get laid. You could call it bed surfing. Now, sometimes I want to get laid, but I shouldn't be expected of that when I stay with you, right? I dated one of my couch surfers because he totally, anyway, that's another story. But you have these women and then they get in their pajamas in your house. They just met you, they're brushing their teeth and then they're going to go sleep on the couch. Maybe, unless, the conversation just kind of turns into something more. And the thing is that even if the guys don't get laid, which oftentimes they don't, they still either make it really uncomfortable for you because you didn't want to hook up with them, or at the very least, even if they put no pressure on you whatsoever, they got a conversation out of you. They got your time. A lot of times they got free therapy because we know, I learned this on the dating apps much later, is that a lot of men have so much trauma and they literally just oh my God, my mom tried to unalive herself. While I'm naked with him, I'm like, wait, what? Where'd that come from? Right? So men get companionship. And then men also on that app, now this is different than the dating app, but on couch surfing, men know. Y'all, men know this stuff. They know, even if they can't put words to it and don't even realize they know it, they know. Have this sense of obligation and guilt, and they play on that. They know that a lot of us screw them out of a sense of obligation, and they play that on that all the time. They will not admit it, but they do. Because the men, even good guys, benefit from the violence and the threat of violence from other men. So a lot of us will just hook up with guys because, it's easier to hook up than to say no. So many men have gotten parts of my body for that premise alone. In fact, that's how I end up forking that clown. I wrote this for Huffington Post. This is the story about why I forked a clown. Because my brain and my internal social conditioning under patriarchy and former trauma responses convinced me, it's just easier to just fork them and get it over with than to keep saying, no. Was I ever threatened? No. But when you won't just leave me alone and make me have to put up a fight, then yeah, sometimes it's going to say yes. And men, even if they have no intention of ever being violent with you, they know that you might just give in knowing that the threat of violence alone is enough. And then this story for the Huffington Post, by the way, I can tell you that whole clown forking story. It's really funny. By the way, he was not wearing makeup, okay, before you ask. This story right here, this was about the guy that I dated on couch surfing for a little bit. I had no intention of dating this dude, and I just kind of fell into it, and then I fell for him, and he was such, ugh. But what I learned from couch surfing, which I'm glad I had that experience, was that when I went into Tinder few years later, is that, same. Whether it's couch surfing or dating apps or whatever, so many men, because of patriarchy, feel so entitled. And especially now, they love independent women. That's why they love Bumble. Oh, cool. I can get laid without having to do jack. Perfect. So many men, whether it was a date or just a hookup, were expected me to come to their neighborhood. Or I always found out that if I met them at a bar, the bar was right next to their house. How convenient for them. And when I lived in LA, I'm sorry, if I'm going like, if I'm getting on the 101, that's like time, gas money. I'm going to pay for parking. That's a lot of effort on my part. So remind me to tell y'all also about the parking lot scheme where I actually realized that I was kind of doing like schmegs work, but like not even realizing it because it was based on resentment of not getting my needs met or not even getting cuddled after spending a whole night with a dude who didn't even lick my... So I started charging him. I love that story. I don't think I've told it on here yet. Like, remind me, y'all got ADHD. Anyway, I learned right away, stop doing stuff. If you're doing too much, doing anything is doing too much. Because women are already, we have the highest risk, right? We could get raped. We could get like so much can happen just by meeting up with these guys. And even if we don't meet up with these guys, if we block them, guess what? They're going to appear on like Instagram or Facebook. They're going to find us and stalk us over there. We don't even have to meet these guys to be endangered. And for me to give up my time to go meet one of them because of their potential, fork that. That's why I started vetting a lot stronger. Don't even go out. Don't even like go on a date with these dudes until I've like ensured that they're worth my time. There's nothing worse than spending a whole dinner with a dude and you're like, God, you know, in the first 10 minutes that he sucks. So if I'm going to give you my time, I'm certainly not going to also pay gas money, wear and tear on my truck, and parking to come meet your ass. When you're the one who needs me, I don't need you. I have friends. You don't probably. I got my toy. I've got a community. I've got hobbies. I've got a career I love. I love spending time alone. I don't want to give up a whole night of writing or time with my girlfriends to go hang out with some douche. So yeah, I on these dating apps, I started making men actually make effort because so many of them have gotten so much worse because they're like, yay, independent woman. That means I have to do less and get more. No, any access to me, you better work for. It doesn't even mean like access to my body, access to my time, access to space in my head, any access. Show me that you're worth it because unlike men, I have math on my side. I've got an inbox full of dudes fighting you for my attention. What makes you special? Prove it. And the worst thing that can happen is that you don't go on a date with men for a while. How is that bad? I can tell you going on no dates is so much better than going on a bunch of terrible ones because at least you didn't waste your time. At least you're doing something you want to do. At this point in time, men are so far behind us. They have to work. They have to work hard to get access to us because we don't need them anymore. We don't need them for literally anything. We even have toys. We don't need them. So if they're gonna get access to us and access to our community and our beautiful homes and our minds and our hearts, if you're gonna get access to all that stuff, you better have done some work on yourself and you better plan on making some effort and continue with that effort. Or you don't get anything from me. They have convinced us that we need them. Everything they say is projection. We don't need them. They need us and they know it. Why would they make any effort if they don't have to? And you know what? They actually suffer by being so lazy too. So not only are we harming ourselves, we're actually not even helping them, making it so that they can just exploit us. It takes a lot of work on yourself and a lot of healing to get to that place. Even if you're not there, pretend like you're there and act like you're there. Fake it till you make it, baby. Or just tap out. Feeling used and exploited is one of the worst feelings in the world. And that's the norm for us once we realize that they're the ones benefiting from all of this. Cut them off!